What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel with On 3. Today on the Hard Count, we're going to take a look at the Auburn quarterback room. Welcome into the Hard Count, the people's show for every single thing that you know and that you love about college football. It happens here on a nearly daily basis. Nick Brake is doing the heavy lifting. You can help drive the show by subscribing to the channel. That's all I'm going to ask. It's free. It helps us. It helps you. Let's roll. Justin Hokanson for our Auburn site has a phenomenal article out right now where he goes pretty in-depth into the quarterback room and who he projects to be the starter and what they're bringing to the table from a skill set standpoint. We're going to take a broad look as well in our own right at the Auburn quarterback room, what they have right now, who we think is going to start, and why that's important. So we're going to go down the list here. It's really a three-horse race right now, and this is a big deal for Bryan Harsin because if you've watched some of our previous videos or have any idea what's going on in Auburn, Alabama, they're not giving him a really long leash. It's unfortunate. I don't love it, but that's the world we're living in. So without further ado, the three quarterbacks they got right now are all transfers. Zach Calzada from Texas A&M, TJ Finley, who was with the program last year, played a little bit from LSU, and then Robbie Ashford transferred from Oregon. All three different styles of quarterback, but I think there's a chance you could win with all three, but which one is going to allow you to win the most games? That's what's important here. So Zach Calzada comes in with the badge of the Bama Slayer, which means something, especially going to a school like Auburn. The report on him is he's got the strongest arm, most accurate arm, and it sounds like they are leaning towards Calzada right now. Hokanson talks about how the offense as of right now is starting to be tailored more and more towards what he's used to from his time at A&M. It's a really great article. Again, encourage you to go check that out. The biggest thing that stood out to me when it talks about Calzada, right now, it sounds like he's developing some great relationships with guys in this locker room. And you say, okay, you're the quarterback. You should win over some guys. When all three of these guys are transfers, I know Finley's been on campus for a year, but all three of these guys being transfers, you're still trying to get the guys in your corner. You're still trying to win over that locker room because as a quarterback, you have to be the leader. Like there's just no way you can have a successful football team without your quarterback being the leader. And so for Zach Calzada, with however long he's been on campus, he just graduated from A&M, I believe, in the spring. For him to be on campus for such a short amount of time and to already have these great relationships being developed with guys like Tank Bigsby, their receiving room, like he's starting to have a really great rapport being developed there. That means something, and I think that's paramount to him ultimately having a successful season at Auburn. So from a scouting perspective, Zach Calzada has a lot of the boxes checked. Last year, his numbers didn't necessarily blow you away. I think he was something like 56, 57% completion percentage. Some of that, it sounds like he wasn't totally healthy the entire time, but all that's to say, Zach Calzada, you feel pretty good about him going forward. Then you have the more known commodity in TJ Finley. And TJ Finley played a good amount for Auburn last year. Had losses to South Carolina when he played, had losses to Alabama when he played, and had losses to Houston when he played. Now, I want to make sure we talk about this. TJ Finley could have very well beaten Alabama if some things break differently for Auburn. Like if Tank Bigsby gets down in bounds, TJ Finley might have a different aura about himself coming into this quarterback competition of the fall. Because much like Zach Calzada, to have beaten Alabama, even more so for TJ Finley, to have beaten Alabama being the starting quarterback for Auburn would hold a lot of weight. Unfortunately, it's a woulda, shoulda, coulda kind of world right now for TJ Finley, but he's 6'7", 250 pounds, has a huge arm. Like from a physical perspective, TJ Finley is a superhero. Now, the unfortunate reality is even though you throw the ball 70 yards in the air, if nobody's catching it, that's still an incompletion. You take the ball from the same spot you had it before. So for TJ Finley, I want to see him get more accurate. Eric Keesaw, the offensive coordinator, was very clear. He's like, we're going to take in all the information we can, even behind closed doors, stuff that y'all aren't going to get to see. These practices where it's just us in the building and we're watching them do 7-on-7 and we're doing team. So for TJ Finley, this job's not out of reach by any stretch of the imagination, but the issue I would have is for TJ Finley to have played last year for Auburn in meaningful games and to not have put up W's, in my opinion, I think he had a really great chance to take the job by the throat a year ago And to not have done that, I think he's probably going to be kicking himself a little bit. And honestly, probably put himself in an uphill battle right now for this job. So could still very well win it. I wouldn't put my money on him just yet. But what you love about him is the physical tools, need more from him from an accuracy standpoint. And then there's the dark horse, in my mind. And he's probably not going to win the job this year in game one, but he's someone to keep an eye on as the season goes on. Robbie Ashford, redshirt freshman, transferred from Oregon, really good athlete. And you saw that in their spring game, was the MVP of the spring game, does a lot with his legs. And Coach Keesaw was talking about it. He's like, we might have to find a way to get him into the game. Reading between the lines there a little bit, but he's talking about having packages for him, doing quarterback design runs, doing the read option game. Because he's so athletic, he brings a whole new element to your offense when he's on the field. And to have to prep for a quarterback that can hurt you with his legs as well, that's another thing that you have to spend time during the week preparing for as a defense. You have to dedicate a whole other period of team that you would have spent prepping for Zach Calzada that now you have to spend, okay, when Ashford's in the game, we got to make sure we have this personnel on the field. We're playing the read option this way. It's just more pressure on the opposition, more pressure on the defense. So Robbie Ashford could kind of be the ace in the hole, I think, here for Auburn. Now, the interesting thing I'm looking at, let's say Zach Calzada starts the first few games for you. You do okay. But Robbie Ashford, when he's in the game, offense moves. Maybe those packages for Robbie Ashford start to grow a little bit. And then you kind of start to murmur and say, okay, do we need to go to Ashford for game 6 of this season? Does Robbie Ashford give us the best chance to win right now? Again, we're sort of, giving you some hypotheticals here. Again, I don't think Robbie Ashford will start game 1. That's not the vibe I'm getting from the Auburn program as a whole anyway, but for Robbie Ashford, he has a real chance to help this football team. And I think if you do well with a little bit, it's going to be hard for this coaching staff not to continue to put more on your plate and expand your role. So something to keep an eye on. Again, I think Zach Calzada is probably the guy out of camp and probably going to be the guy that takes the snap game 1. But Robbie Ashford's someone who's very interesting to watch in this whole quarterback derby. Now, this is probably my stance with any quarterback competition, but especially with this one and Michigan as well. But with this one right now, there's 3 guys that are all competing, right? And Zach Calzada is, in a lot of ways, the most proven commodity within this quarterback room. You feel good about what you have in Zach Calzada. So if Zach Calzada wins the job, good. He won the job out of camp, and that's all there is to it. But if it's somebody else, let's just say TJ Finley has an amazing fall camp, and he's named the starter. Your reaction as an Auburn fan shouldn't be, oh gosh, we saw him last year. We don't want him to be the starter. We saw what he could do. If he wins the job out of camp, your response should be good. Because this coaching staff, with their jobs on the line, make no mistake about it, Bryan Harsin's seat is a little bit toasty. He came out and said at SEC Media Day, some of y'all didn't think I'd be here today. Some of y'all thought I was going to get pushed out. For him to say, no, TJ Finley gives us the best chance to win, gives me the best chance to keep my job, your response should be good. He beat out Calzada. He beat out Ashford. He gives us the best chance to win. Let's ride. Competition's going to give everybody their best foot forward. Like, the cream is going to rise to the top in this competition setting. So while I think Calzada is your guy because of what he brings to the table physically, because of what this coaching staff's already saying about him from a poise perspective and the way he's starting to win over some of these guys on the offensive side of the ball, whoever wins, good. It's kind of simplistic to say, but truly the way that I think Auburn fans should approach this competition. But all that's to say, we're calling our shot. Zach Calzada is your starter game 1. Let the chips fall where they may. That's it for us here on the Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. Again, subscribe to the channel. That helps us to get more and more juice to do fun things when the ball gets kicked off. We're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of the Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.